Hi, everyone. My name is Tim Andrews. I'd like to welcome you to our Red, Rights, and You podcast, where we're uniting to battle the progressive communist agenda in order to take back and restore prosperity to this beautiful nation of ours. Well, the much-anticipated initial debate between President Trump and bumbling, stumbling Joe Biden is mercifully over. Now, we all know it was viewed as a complete train wreck by most, but many made excuses for Joe, like he had a cold or was over-rehearsed. Many of his comrades, in an attempt to cover for him yet again, said that he just had a bad night. Yeah, and I'm not fat. I just made a few bad choices at supper last night. Come on. Of course, as soon as the party suspects certain defeat, as some already do, they'll jump off the bandwagon. They'll ditch this incumbent and nominate whoever they want, regardless of the will of their voters. That's the communist way. Then, in order to keep their takeover moving forward, they're just going to forget all about Biden and the world's biggest lies and cover-up, which they created to protect him quicker than Biden is forgetting about everything else. He'll have served their purpose. Time to just cast him aside, bring in that shiny new candidate, and anoint them as the second coming of Christ and slayer of that evil dictator, Donald Trump. You know, to be honest, I, for one, thought the debate went a lot better for Biden than I even expected. I was amazed that he could even put an occasional sentence together without a teleprompter, earpiece, and, of course, a hand up his ass to the armpit, just working his mouth like a puppet. And then to top things off, in a feeble attempt to at least salvage a small semblance of dignity, the communist left said that after the debate, their fact checkers found that everything Trump said was a lie. Everything. Trump is nothing but a liar. I have to chuckle. That's rich, considering Biden recently and throughout the years has repeatedly been caught on both audio and video just lying like a rug. Now, we've all heard the recent and obvious ones about his son dying in Afghanistan when it was really here in the United States, and his uncle being eaten by cannibals. But I just took the liberty for giggles of Googling it. Not a deep dive, just a quick Google, and quickly found 63 additional lies, which were fact-checked and confirmed by third parties. I don't want to bore you with all of them, but let's just take a quick peek at 10, shall we? May 14th, 2014, in an interview with Yahoo Finance, he said, inflation was 9% when I came to office. May 12, 2024, at a fundraising event in Seattle, he said, China's in a situation where they have more retired than working. And then on April 26, 2024, in an interview with Howard Stern, he said he got arrested while he was protesting in favor of, get this, desegregation. Anyone that knows his history will find that a little bit amusing. February 8th, 2024, in a speech on classified documents in his possession, he said none of it was high classified. Let's go back to January 25th, 2024. In a public appearance, he said there are 1,000 billionaires now. And you know what the average tax rate is? 8%. On September 11th, 2023, in a 9/11 speech in Alaska, he said, Ground Zero in New York. I remember standing there the next day. June 14, 2023, in a speech, he said, we have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. And then on October 27th, 2022, in a speech in Syracuse, New York, He claimed the price of gas is down from over $5 when I took office. March 1, 2022. In his State of the Union address, he said, I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. And then finally, and then you'll be out of your misery. August 20, 2021, in remarks, he said, Al-Qaeda is gone from Afghanistan. You know, it's easy to blame Biden for the complete shit show that's taking place right now, but I don't see it that way. Since his cognitive decline was recognized many years ago by his party's inner circle, he's really been nothing more than a pawn. Now, in his early days, as a young senator, he was seen as a promising, potentially good president. He actually ran for office, but during his run for office in the 1988 presidential campaign, he was forced to withdraw early after allegations of plagiarism. Wow. It seems that even in his prime, he was comfortable regurgitating someone else's ideas in their exact words. He went on to gain tenure in the Senate. But this black mark, along with his temper and a penchant for putting his foot in his mouth, prevented his party from taking him seriously as a presidential candidate again in their foreseeable future at the time. Finally, all the way in 2007, he was thrown a bone as a reward for his many years of servitude, being picked by Barack Obama to be his toothless running mate. And then, sadly, as we all know, in 2020, he was actually nominated for president. Now, you mix in his advanced age of 78 at the time, increasing confusion, along with onset dementia, and you had the perfect ingredients for a mindless puppet put into place to do the bidding of an evil administration. Once again, the communist left fake media, along with their conspirators in the highest reaches of government, have succeeded in pulling the wool over the eyes of their constituents and mindless sheep for years. They've been covering for Joe and blaming conservatives for blowing everything out of proportion. We all remember what they said. Behind the scenes, he was as sharp as a tack, doing a great job. Those videos of his missteps and blunders, those were just cheap fakes orchestrated by the right. Now, of course, now that everyone knows that they were covering up and completely full of shit, their feet are going to be held to the fire, right? Yeah, sure. As always, there is zero accountability where this pack of liars, thieves, and cheaters is concerned. You know, the scariest part in all of this is that you have to ask yourself who the puppeteer behind the curtain is. Who is really responsible for pulling the strings and making all these decisions without any regard for consequences? Now, some have suggested that Joe Biden may be running the country and may have been doing so for some time now. I'll be honest, I believe it may be far more nefarious than that. I really think this has Obama's fingerprints all over it. While his term limits have expired, who's to say he's not making these decisions? You know, I know there are those out there who believe he was a great president. If able, many would make him ruler for life. However, I want them all to understand, I want you to understand that this is completely different. Regardless of how you feel about his performance while in office as a decision maker behind the scenes, as in this case, he could do what he wanted unchecked and free from having to take any responsibility. He would be emboldened by his anonymity and subsequent lack of accountability. There are no limits to what he can do or how far he can go. If things go well, great. They can chalk it up as another advancement for the progressive communist agenda. And if he fails, they have the perfect patsy in place. Stumbling, bumbling Joe. Beware of smoke and mirrors. Watch out for misdirection. The fake media is well versed in both. They have had loads of practice throughout the years. And believe me, while the focus is on Biden due to his blunders during the debate and elsewhere, the real issue is not with him. The root of the problem lies within the progressive, perverse, communist ideologies that are being promoted and adopted in our country every single day. You see, it really doesn't matter who they nominate to run for office in 2024. It's the movement, not the man. It's the movement, not the woman, acting as the mouthpiece. That is what is destroying our democracy and free nation. This entire evil party and their warped ideas about what America should be needs to be dismantled, stripped down, and then carefully built back up to the once respected true blue Democratic Party that it once was. Now, there's one more thing I would like to observe briefly before I sign off, and that is, thank God for checks and balances. What happened recently is a great teaching moment and should be for many years to come in the subject of political science. Just when you thought the communist left might just get away with breaking all these laws, contorting the truth, and dragging our judicial practices and procedures through the mud, the Supreme Court came through with some key decisions before dismissing for summer recess. Here are the two big ones. They determined that the government overstepped regarding punishment for the January 6th protesters. It's about time. When murderers, when migrants, the illegal migrants coming into this country, thieves, killers, drug dealers receive more lenient prison terms than someone holding a sign on the steps of the Capitol, that is a travesty. And the best? They determined that the president has limited immunity regarding public presidential decisions and speech made while doing his duty in office. That forces the hangmen and women appointed in Trump's rigged trials to review and reevaluate these trumped-up charges and biased decisions. You know, it's funny how abruptly things change when political momentum shifts. The minute the actors like Bragg, Mershon, and that joke Letitia James feel like their roles in these improprieties may not be as secure and protected as they were told, they'll be like rats jumping off a sinking ship. Even now, just with the slightest change, they're delaying trials and even Trump's sentencing from that latest debacle that took place in New York. Of course, this will be temporary. I'm completely convinced that the communist left will do anything and everything, and I mean everything possible to get Trump and remain in power. They've waited far too long to get a foothold and a pathway to take over this country to relinquish control now. Again, folks, thank you so much for joining me. Remember, if you see or hear something, say something. We are the only defense against this perverse and progressive communist takeover. Please like, submit, and comment below. I look forward to talking again with you soon. And God bless you all, and God bless America. Thank you.